let's transition. I think we sound a little bit on the low side, so maybe I will bring it up a little bit more. Sound-wise. Sound-wise. Test, 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 1, 2. All right, cool. I think we're doing all right. Let me transition. Okay. Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. As you can probably hear, I have a little bit, I'm still kind of struggling a little bit with my illness. I've got a little bit of, I don't know, crud in my sinuses, and it's like draining down the back of my throat. So I am doing the best I can. I feel energized, and I feel like I'm active and ready to go for today's stream, but my voice is just a little bit meh. I've got a little bit of a cough too, so hopefully I can stave that off by drinking a lot of water. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, we can, have a productive stream today. All right, so today we are going to be continuing working on our axe. We're going to be shaping the axe. We've got our drift all the way through our hole. It's going to be opening it up. So we do have a little bit more material on one end of the eye than the other. So we are going to try and fix that by cooling down the thinner spot so we can get a lot more pressure in on the wide spot. I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that I don't get the drift stuck like we did on Friday. And yeah, hopefully this works out for us. Everything that I am or have been doing so far seems to be working pretty well. So we're going to continue working on that. I do have an ad coming up in about, 45 seconds or so. So I will probably wait until then to kind of talk a little bit more about some of the stuff that is coming up within the next couple of weeks. And after I talk a little bit about that kind of stuff, we should have enough heat to start our first round of metal working. I did start the forge relatively early today, so hopefully we will get some good movement in today, and we can get our axe as finished as we possibly can. Let me take a look at my stuffy stuffs. Okay. Hello from Del Rio, Texas. Welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Yeah, so we are working on an axe today, and hopefully we can get it at least most of the way done today. That's my goal, is to have it mostly done today. Hopefully we don't have to go too long into Wednesday's stream, but we probably will a little bit. Hey Corwin, welcome to the stream. I am doing all right. I feel energized and able to stream and be active and work and stuff, but I've still got some sinus blockage that I'm trying to still work through a little bit. So if you hear me kind of coughing or being a little nasally, sniffling, I apologize. I'll try to keep that to a minimum. So, yeah, looks like we're almost done with our ad break, so that's cool. And so I'll kind of go over some of the stuff that's going on here. All right, so first off, we are dual streaming to both Twitch and YouTube. We had a little bit of issues with chat on YouTube on Friday, so I will be monitoring chat relatively closely. I have added a moderator. It is Lexi, so hopefully, they'll be around. She'll be around to check up chat, but there will be someone watching besides just me. So please behave. I trust most of you. You know, we just had a few trolls coming in. So yeah. Um, let's see what else is going on. Oh, I've also turned on a little bit more strict moderation over on YouTube, so it's not unmoderated or monitored even when I don't have an active person watching chat. So hopefully, you know, we don't have any more issues. Let's see. So I have started getting ready for Quad State. Quad State is going to be the weekend of the 25th of September. So it's starting to get to that time where I need to start doing all of my prep work and all my emails and talking to people and setting up interviews and things like that. So I've got my first emails out for that. Hopefully everything works out for us. They have a rule that I did not see last year that said that they would prefer that people who are filming get permission first, or I guess corporate filming. And since, well, I don't really, I'm not, I guess technically I'm a corporation, but I'm also like kind of not. So hopefully, you know, I can get my written permission and we can go head out and have some fun at Quad State this year. I'll keep you posted if something screwy happens. I should be, you know, attending Quad State regardless. But yeah, so I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys there. Hopefully, you know, I can see a few of you in person and meet you, say hi. I do really enjoy meeting you guys when I'm out and about, you know, at conferences, at events, you know, so yeah. I do look forward to meeting you guys out and about. Let's see. One more thing before I start working the steel. This week we have a new video coming out on Wednesday. That video is going to be my experience as a solo act at the AACB conference last spring. So it's kind of, you can kind of hear some of my anxieties and experiences, what kind of happened. I kind of had a few mishaps and dropped the ball in a couple places, and it's kind of an entertaining watch. So hopefully you guys enjoy that. We have, after that video, we have one more video left from my spring of conferences, and that is our travel video from the Indiana conference. Unfortunately, I just did not have enough footage from the BAM conference to do a travel video. I started doing it, and then I just kind of didn't do anything from like right after I, you know, got there all the way through the end. So, you know, I guess I don't get to do a travel video about that one. I've been a lot better in the subsequent trips. So hopefully, you know, I'll remember for Quad State. So, but yeah. So you guys can look forward to the AACB travel video on Wednesday, and I get to edit my last conference piece for next Wednesday, and I'm super excited about that. We're gonna be getting back into the nitty-gritty of stuff that I have built here in the shop. So we'll be getting more build videos and things like that. 40 stream watch streak, Corwin. That is awesome. Are they trying to get some money from you streaming? I don't think that's actually the case. I just don't know that, I just think that they don't want me to make money from their conference without like an agreement with them, you know? So, and I mean, that's completely understandable. I mean, you know, it costs money to put on a conference. I'm not trying to make or to profit off of the conference, you know, for the most part. I do have the goal to monetize and, you know, make money from ads and from sponsorships and things like that, but I don't want to charge you guys for watching my content, especially not the conference content. So I honestly don't feel like there should be any issue at all. But I do want to cover my bases and just make sure that I'm doing everything right, because I don't, I want to maintain a open communication with goodwill across the entire blacksmithing community, because that's my whole goal, is to uplift the blacksmith community as a whole and just help people. So I am willing to jump through whatever hurdles is necessary to, do things the right way, if that makes sense. Let's see. I am gonna start my first heat. So I have a little bit of lubricant on the drift right now. Hopefully it stays on there relatively well. All right, and let's see if I can't get this working. Organization is not my strong suit sometimes, guys. This is super cold. We're going to have to get a little bit more organized for the rest of this food. See if I can't get this off of here. And it looks like I've waited a little bit too long again. So it looks like it's coming out, but it also looks like maybe I need to be a little bit more careful in the future. There it goes. Dropping things. Always dropping things with me. Drop forward. Let's turn up the forge a little bit. It looks like we're still a little on the cold side overall. See what I can do there. Might work, might not. It probably won't work. I'm trying to keep some lubricant on here, but I'm also like, it's so open that I can't just like stick lubricant on it. It's just gonna fall through the hole. So I gotta figure out a good way to apply it, I guess. So we are under a heat advisory. So I will be periodically taking a few breaks. I'll probably try and, I will try to time them for our ad breaks for Twitch. But I'm gonna need to make sure that I maintain enough water to keep myself hydrated. I've got the fans going and all of my ventilation But yeah, I don't have another water bottle prepped for myself, so it's going to take me a little bit of extra time. Hey, Shelly, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Oh, you know what? The other thing that I forgot to talk about was that I do have some Twitch drops, creator drops that are going on right now throughout the entire month of August. August is my birthday month, and we are celebrating by doing drops. So if you subscribe this month or gift a subscription, you get the shiny gradient version of the Smithy drop. And if you watch 6 hours, which is the equivalent of just under 3 streams this month, you will get the follower or the watch drop, which is the slightly less fancy Smithy version. So I'm really excited to start seeing those guys come out and show up on your profiles. And yeah, so you probably won't see those until the next couple of or the next couple of streams, you know. I don't expect you to solidly watch for 6 hours, so you know. So that's my excuse for dropping things this month, eh? Just kidding. Yeah, my excuse. It's my birthday. I get to drop things. It's my party. I'll drop things if I want to. You shove that back in there. See if I can get a little bit more heat going. It's my birthday month too, says Shelly. It is. It is. It is. You're at the end of the month. I'm like 10 days before that. So, you know, it's our birthday month. I wish I hadn't started it sick. I have no idea how long I'm going to still be like, you know, the dregs of sick, because the butler is still kind of having coughing fits and stuff. And he's got like a week over me. So you know, I don't know. I hope it doesn't last that long for me. I'm normally pretty healthy as a person. I don't get sick very often, but when I do, I hate it. Hopefully it clears up soon. Hopefully. Man, I'm so tired of this, you know? I am so tired of having my sinuses draining everywhere. See, I feel like if I drink more Gatorade, you know, it'll give me that vitamin C boost. But like, you know, I'm always getting sick, but you know that. Like when I was sick and rolled my face up in that window, I remember that. That was I kind of felt bad that day. Yeah. I feel for you. Here in Texas, 100 degrees. Ooh, goodness gracious, 100 degrees. Yeah, it's supposedly 88 according to Google here. But the feels like, because it's humid, is like super hot. It's like in the hundreds. So unfortunately, you know, I have to deal with all of that. And it gets worse in the shop because we've got, you know, the extra heat pumping out. But I've got my fan too, so, you know, as long as I stand up just about like here, I get all of the air from the fan blowing directly on me. Okay, so it looks like we should be able to do our next heat, so let's do that real fast. Oh, I forgot to hit record on my cameras, so let me do that before I swap and do my next heat. Let's do this, guys. Let's do this. It's 103 because of the heat index. It's 89 and trying to storm as well. Yeah, it stormed here too. I'm not a fan. Or I guess it's not actively storming, but it wants to. It's like trying. Over the past couple days, though, I've been playing, is it a storm or is it airplanes? I live relatively close to a couple of airports that have been rather active recently. Let me grab my glove. Okay. Man, my lube is not working at all. Not at all, guys. Not at all. Man, I've done it again, guys. I'm so sorry. I've locked my drift on my axe again. Let's see, is there a way that I'm going to be able to get this out of here without causing myself major issues? Put it in the vise and hit it from the other side with a smaller punch. I mean, that might work. Let's see about that. All right. Let's do it this way. That's a little bit better. See if I can't get it a little bit easier now. it works. Alright, let's do it this way. Okay. Now I gotta get this one out of here. That should be easier though. Yay! Okay. Hey, Mahalo! I've done it again. I've locked this thing on my drift because I'm not amazingly good at this. Alright, let's see if we can. Alright, let's get this hot again. Okay, we got it. We got it. Huzzah, it's free. It is. Welcome to the stream. Hello, hello, everybody. You need to go through with an axe strip all the way through the eye. It's easier to loosen it afterwards. Yeah, I think that's probably what I want to do next is I want to increase the size of the eye. And because I believe it will be a lot easier to get it out. That was actually about my next thought. Is opening it up a little bit more, making it a lot easier to get it out. I think my main issue right now is that I am not punching the drift as far as the eye, or as to open the eye, and then I'm squishing it to move the cheeks, but I am in turn also locking that eye onto the drift. So I want to thin out the cheeks, but right now it's not working the way I need it to, so I need to expand that hole. Drive it as far as possible so the eye is not wrapped and you don't have to worry about it splitting. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I need to do. Definitely. So that's what we're going to do next. We're going to drive the drift as far down as possible because we still have, even if we drive it all the way through this drift, we still have another step to drift it open even further. So if moving those cheeks increases the size of that hole, it's not that big of a deal. That's kind of why I was like, oh, I don't want to go all the way up the drift, but I think I was just being overcautious. This is only my third act, so I'm kind of learning as I go. I've made some major mistakes in creating some of these axes, and I'm just being overly cautious, and I need to just go for it, you know? I need to just go for it. All right, I'm gonna cool down the drift just a hair. It should be good. I just need to be able to hang on to it, you know? There's another piece of steel in here. Pull that out of there. Hey Yankee, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Oh, you know what? It's a good thing that I'm not going to be using that this time anyway, because I let it go all the way up, or my press. Okay, so I'm going to move the camera because we're going to start working a little bit on the hardy hole, trying to drive the drift all the way through. Maybe not all the way through, but most of the way through. So let's do that real fast. So we're going to hang out over here. Now I'm going to move my gloves so I can see the pritchel hole. Ah! And run into my door. That works too. The best, guys. All right, there we go. Should be good. Should be good. All right, so we have an ad starting in about 2 minutes or so. I'm probably going to get a little bit more water. Like I said, I only really had a partial, and the butler took the other one, my other water bottle to work. So I only have one today for whatever reason. But we should be good to go. Once this ad is over, we should have plenty of heat to open up the eye. The other thing that we're going to be doing is we are still going to be using the water bottle to cool down the thin area so that as the drift expands out, it is not going to expand the thin section. It's going to expand into the thicker area and down into the where the blade will end up. And that's going to help us maintain the area or the shape of the eye and where it's going to be at, I guess. Where the material is going to be thinning at is what I'm trying to say. All right. Yep, we're out of water already because I didn't have a full one. Okay, let's see. Yeah. We're still on track to move the material where it needs to go. All right, I will be right back. Oops. I hope you guys can't hear my dishes falling over. I am the worst at doing the dishes sometimes. It's only actually 3 plates, so you know. All right, I think we're just gonna do water and not Gatorade powder. Okay. I am back. And the ad is over, it looks like. So we are good to go. Okay. Let's do our next heat. Looks like we've got plenty of heat. to use to move our steel. We're starting to get a pretty hot forge. It's ready to go. That's the best. Here. Put that in there like so. Or I guess we're not going to put it exactly in there. We are going to drive it in there. All right, so we've got a decent amount more driven in there, and we've opened up the hole on that side a little bit better. So I'm trying to open that up just a little bit further, and then off it goes. So what we're going to do next is we're going to flip it over and drive this direction to kind of continue opening up that hole. I got 2 axes in the mail today. Awesome. Are they for you to repair, or did you purchase them and are going to collect them? I'm not entirely sure myself how well this axe is going to do. It's only my 3rd axe, so we're doing the best we can. Hopefully, it'll be usable. Hopefully it'll be usable. One is a very rare, from at least the 1850s or earlier. Ooh, that's really cool. I feel like the best tools are really old. They're really the old ones. The other is old and very rusty, but cool looking at. I'm sure there are so many really cool looking axes out there, and cause making an axe, it's rather difficult, but it's like also a masterwork. Some of the old ones. I mean, I know that you could like buy them and stuff, but like there's nothing like the old handmade ones, I have a World War II era military axe. Ooh, that's also really cool. The butler's grandfather had a bunch of his old tools from World War II, and we actually still have his foldable trowel, and the thing still works. It's beautiful. You can it's got the little the screw on it, so you can kind of fold it in half, and then you can unscrew it, unfold it, and it works as a hoe and as a shovel, and I believe it also works as an axe. It's a really cool piece of equipment. Yeah, a lot of the old axe makers were bladesmiths or blacksmiths, and they started their own towns to build their own blacksmith. Yeah, because I mean, how do you build a house without nails, right? You So one of the first people in your new town has to be a blacksmith, you know? Hey, Blue Red, welcome to the stream. So yeah, I mean, old school blacksmiths were like super important people in your town, you know? This one was made in Taftsville by Daniel Taft in Vermont. That's really cool. That's really cool. JK Knudsen, thank you so much for that raid. Welcome in, everybody. Hello, hello. I'm Ray. I'm a blacksmith. I stream Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Today we are working on an axe. We are shaping it up. Right now we are opening up the eye of the axe a little bit further. I've been having a little bit of trouble. There is a thick spot and a thin spot on the sides of where the eye is, and so I'm trying to thin out the thick spot, but I keep binding up my drift, so I need to expand that eye out so that it comes out easily so I can continue working. I need a little bit of wiggle room, and so we are making it, making ourselves some wiggle room. Then from there we are going to continue drawing out that wedge and working on the blade of the axe once we're happy with the cheeks and the eye of this axe. Fingers crossed I don't accidentally like rip the back end out or anything. But I think we're doing all right. So welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome, welcome. Let me get a Random Logic 0101. Thank you so much for that follow. Let me get a shout out. Or maybe I hit the wrong command. That's awesome. There we go. I can use my own commands, right? Thank you so much for joining me, and then welcome to the stream, everybody. Welcome, welcome. All right. We've got plenty of heat, so let's keep on keeping on. I'm going to get a drink real fast. Like I said, I'm still a little bit sick, but we're getting better. We're going to burn that sinus infection out by sweating it out, guys. Sweat it out. All right. They're lit. So there is a thin area on this axe, so we're trying to cool that down just a little bit so it doesn't move quite as much. And then this is our drift. We are driving through our axe. There we go. It's starting to drive through exactly the way I want it to. All right. Got a good opening there. Let's take this right off of there and turn it around. Whoops. Dropping our hammer there too. Now we're going to flip it over like so, and we're going to keep on driving it there. It looks like we're a little bit close to the edge on that side, so we want to pay close attention, cool this off with the thin section. That way we won't open this up any further and crack it. So I want to open it up this side. We can get that nice hourglass shape in that eye. So yeah, seems to be working pretty darn good. I'm actually excited about how the steel is moving. It is expanding in the directions that I'm wanting it to, except for that tiny little bit of movement toward that back edge. Like I said, if I cool that back edge down, it will stop moving in that direction. It'll start moving forward. And that's what we want to see. My hair down, or my hair does that too when I'm trying to work in the shop. It does, like, it kind of splits and hangs down on both sides. What steel are you using for the axe? And will there be a forge welded edge? Right now I am using 4140, which is a mid-carbon steel, often used for hammers and axes and tools like that. It works pretty darn well. It keeps a relatively okay edge. It's not the sharpest or the hardest edge, but it's good for working. You know, and it's a splitting axe, or you know, like a kindling axe. It's not going to be, you know, I don't need it to have like a super razor sharp edge or anything like that. So no, I will not be forge welding a bit inside of it. We're just going to be shaping it and grinding it in, or shaping it on the anvil. And then when we've got the generalized shape that I'm happy with, we are going to be using the bench grinder to grind the rest of that edge in there. Should be relatively simple, because I'm not amazingly good at making axes yet. I think I definitely need quite a bit more practice, but it seems to be turning out all right. So, you know, I think we'll be doing all right. So we have two drifts that we want to drive through the eye. And like I said, we want to make sure that it is going towards the blade and not towards the butt end of this axe. This is the first drift. And then when we're done driving it all the way in through here, I also have this drift that we can continue driving through as a set pair. And this will increase the eye size for a U.S. standard axe handle, so it doesn't take as long and as much effort to handle our axe. So hopefully I can make it work. I've used 4150 quite a bit, because it's the most common car spring steel these days. Yeah, it's pretty common. The 4140 that I'm currently using, it is a former truck axle. So I had a really large chunk of it, about yay big, that was given to me by a good friend of mine to make some hammers out of. And I've made a hammer out of it, and then I've been making some axes out of it. So we've got that axe that I made out of it. I made the drift over there out of it. I made a hammer and then that axe. So it's been interesting using it. It's not too hard to use. I think it's actually pretty nice as far as steels go. So yeah. Pretty simple. It's not much harder than mild steel, which is like the low carbon, 1019, 1018 stuff. Axe sharpening. Ask the dwarves. Right? I mean, you don't need too sharp of an axe if you're using it for like chopping wood. I mean, you need some bit of an edge, but it's mostly that wedge that you're using and the force of your blow. You don't really need a razor edge on your axe unless you're doing specialized like woodworking and stuff. I find heat treatment a bit of a pain, but you need to use a kiln with temperature control. 1080, you could just do everything by eye. Yes, you need a wedge and some mass for most axes. I actually do have a kiln over here that I can use for my heat treatment, and I probably will be using for my heat treatment cycles for this particular axe eventually when I get there. But yeah, I don't know that I'm going to be heat treating it right away. I do have a contest that I'm trying to compete in, and the deadline for that contest is the 14th, so I've got till the end of this week. I do actually have to have the axe on a handle, so I may end up using a temporary handle for this particular axe, and then taking the handle out and heat treating it, and before I put on a permanent handle. So that's my current plan. My current plan. All right. If I move the drift over here, it should be hit by the fan, and we should be all right. Do I have enough heat? I think I do. So we're going to do another round of moving the steel. Going through there pretty darn good. All right, now we're going to come through on that side again. We've got a little bit of an angle that's happening. The drift is going in this direction. So I'm going to really try to angle the drift this way a little bit further and move that steel this way. So we'll see what I can do there. We're going to cool off the back end and the thin side over here. Then we'll probably drive it down the hole and hammer a little bit to kind of push it this way. But we are starting to actually actively move the drift in the direction of that fat section to kind of move that steel and open it up. It's starting to, the hole is starting to open up like the steel exactly where I want it to. See, and people wonder how it happens. You do not fear much heat. Yeah, I don't fear heat much at all. Mostly because I mean, I have a healthy respect for it. I know that it is possible to really hurt me a lot, but I've also been working with it for quite some time, like heat and fire. So I am less afraid of burning myself because I know it's gonna happen eventually. But you know, as long as I am careful, I don't get burned too badly. But I also have my glove, right? This is a welding glove, so, but my hand is teeny, So if you look at my hand versus the glove, there's a lot of excess. So if the glove is actually touching the base of the axe or like the top of the axe, I don't feel it because my hand is teeny. All right, I am going to move the camera angle a little bit. We're going to move it over this way, closer in towards that door, or where my door is. That way we can get a different angle. For some variety in the edit. Which gloves did you buy? I find it hard to find gloves that fit small hands. I just buy medium-sized welding gloves from the welding supply store. A lot of times I end up using like large ones anyway, because a lot of times when I go to other people's shops, they only have large ones. So my welding equipment, the ones that are like that I personally use, like my welding jacket and stuff, I had to actually buy those online using my own measurements. So you can buy them from different places. I can't remember where I got my welding jacket, but you can buy a medium-sized welding gloves in relatively most welding stores, really, especially online. They're not too difficult to find. Most of the Lincoln ones that you get, they're blue, the medium size. My welding jacket is a 10. Yeah, like I said, I had to order mine special. It is a small. I couldn't even get an extra small, so I had to be a little. It is a tiny bit large on me, but I don't like swim in it either. Yeah, I have a hand that is 6 inches wide and 9 inches long, and I'm 4'10". I used to be taller, but gravity sucks. I have huge hands for my frame. Been welding for almost 30 years. Have never had a glove that fit nicely. I feel like if your gloves do fit too tightly, then you wouldn't be able to flip them off or flick them off, right? So part of what makes welding gloves so good for welding and so unique is that if you set the glove on fire, it's hard to do, but if you do it, you can go whack and then you're free, right? So if you get like slag or welding wire inside of the cuff, then you just flip your hands and then they fly off and then you're no longer being burned. Ah, true. You need to throw down now and then. Yes, you do. So they deliberately build them a little bit big on purpose. But I mean, this right here, it's all like empty. My hand starts at right here, and then I've got all of that I is not touching my skin. So you want them to be a little bit big, not too big. All right, let's do another heat. All right, let's see, glove. All right, and we are starting to move the hole this direction. Like I said, there is still a little bit of thinness there. I'm a little bit worried at the apex of that curve. That's the skinniest section. It looks like it's expanding a little bit there though, so I think we'll be okay, especially if we do a little bit of work on the cheeks to kind of thin those out a little bit. We'll try and see if we can't get that material to move closer to that butt end. So we've got an ad starting in about a minute and a half. So we should be pretty good on that. By the end of the ad from Twitch, we should be able to go and do another heat. We're going to do that heat on the press. Like I said, we're going to try and kind of move some of that thickness from the cheeks into that butt end. I'm not entirely sure how well it's going to go, but we've got enough material from the drift on the outside that if we beat it on, or beat the end of the drift on the anvil face, it should just fall right off. We're not going to get it stuck as often anymore. So I'm going to move this camera. I think we're all right on water for now, so I'll probably skip getting water this ad. So let's just move the camera. Move it up so we'll get another angle. It would also help if I wasn't getting caught in my cabling. All right, so the other thing that we're going to do while this ad is going is we're going to drop our press. Whew, it's getting real warm today. This line right here is where we're trying to get it down to. We're doing all right. Okay, so we are going to wait for the air compressor to fully recharge, and then we'll do our next heat, I think. I think we should have plenty of heat at that point. Yep, we've got lots of heat. We're good. So yeah, another reason why I honestly, I don't really use gloves very frequently or as a blacksmith when I am doing forging work. And part of the reason for that, especially on my right hand, is because there's no grip like your fingers and your actual hand, right? If you're wearing a glove and you always risk throwing your hammer, right? Because your fingertips and your hand, it's really grippy, and you can't really replicate that with gloves as well. Um, I mean, you can if you've got like the rubber, palms, but it gets hot and they'll start melting. So the best thing to do is just not wear gloves when you're blacksmithing as much as you possibly can. I mean, left hand is all right, especially, when the steel, or when the heat travels up the steel, but always try to leave your right hand bare as much as you possibly can. Or I guess not your right hand necessarily, because, there are left-handed smithies out there. Your hammer hand. Leave your hammer hand naked. All right, let's do another piece. Smithing, yay, hey, good time zone, following in 3, 2. Thank you so much for that follow. Welcome to the stream, welcome to the community. Hello, hello. I missed a couple of comments there. Lander the Red, thank you so much. What did I miss? I'm left-handed, yes. Yes. See, I try to be relatively accommodating, right? There are left-handed smithies out there. My mom is a lefty. She's not a smith, but she's a lefty, and so I try to be, I try to remember people who are left-handed. But yeah, Corbin, you're a lefty? I always thought left-handed people were so cool when I was a kid, because my mom was a left-handed person, and I thought my mom was really cool. So, I think being left-handed is cool. I am hopelessly right-handed myself, but, I always wanted to be left-handed. I thought it was special. Both of my sisters are left-handed. Sad to disappoint. I don't have the room or the cash to set up a smithing shop of my own, so I compensate by making digital models of weapons for rendering images and 3D printing tabletop miniatures. Oh, and I make miniatures themselves too. That is so cool. So, yeah, I totally get you when it comes to not having a space for a blacksmith shop. I mean, if you live in, a big city or you live in an apartment, sometimes it's really difficult to get your own shop. But you know what? You can check out Abana, the Abana website. That's the Artist Blacksmith Association of North America. And whether you are from Europe, Australia, or the United States, you can put in your postal code. And there are blacksmith associations everywhere. You can get a hold of them, and there's probably a blacksmith within an hour or two of you that you can go and play around in their shop. Most blacksmiths are absolutely gorgeous people who would love to show you how it works. Even for just an afternoon, if it is your dream to be a blacksmith, it's possible. Even if you can't have your own shop. Did the camera die? You know what? I bet you it's my capture card. Is it warm? It might be. You're standing there in a proud... Yeah, it froze. Let's see if I can't fix that. Capture card. You guys are going to see my beautiful face. Oh, it's not even... Okay, so there's something screwy going on. I think it's because it's overly warm in the shop today. All right, so let's see if my cameras are still rolling. Yep, my cameras are still rolling. It's the capture card. So many worse poses you could have been frozen in. I once got frozen mid-sneeze and the camera wouldn't reset for half an hour. Oh, that's sad. All right, well, let's see if changes for the moment. Let's see if it's going to let me go to my Be Right Back screen. We're going to transition to that. Then I'm going to unhook my capture card. We're going to see hooking it back in. Cool. All right. I think we're back. Let me know if we're not, though. My feedback is still frozen, but there's a little bit of a delay, so hopefully it catches back up again. Looks like it is. Okay, we back. Excellent. Awesome. I fixed it. I'm getting better at this whole technology thing, guys. Aren't you proud? All right. Okay. Let me grab a drink real fast. It is actually because it is super duper hot out here, and it doesn't help that I have the forge going. So I have fans that blow directly on my laptop and my capture card, but sometimes it still acts up. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't have that as an issue again. I'm 56. I just use single monitor and single webcam. The butler would be jealous. I might take his job. I don't know about that. There are some other things that the butler can do that I definitely cannot do. Alrighty. Let's do another heat. Let's make sure that we're still good on our cameras. I had forgotten to hit record on that one, so I think we're all right. Let's do this. Hey, Sandwich, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Okay. Yeah, I try to do exciting and fancy stuff, mostly because, the butler, who is my partner, is a professional, film person. They work for the local TV station, and so, you know, I gotta be fancy schmancy and whatnot. And, okay. There it goes. I think it's working pretty good. Our next heat is going to be here on the face of the anvil because I want to kind of straighten out all the lumps and the bumps and make sure that everything is nice and going to be working correctly. So yeah, I think that's what we're going to need next. I'm going to move that camera one more time. Not one more time. It's probably going to be quite a few minutes today throughout the stream. There we go. That's pretty darn good. Okay, no. It's warm. It is super duper warm. So, I think if I was a smart person, I think what I would probably do, I have a little bit of a concave U shape going on with the back of our axe. We have not cracked through or anything, but that the base of that U is it's getting a little bit thin. I can kind of see that there's a lot of material that's poking out a little bit. So if I was doing things properly, I think what I would do is I would cut off a piece of steel and I would probably forge weld that on to the back end. Now, in order to do that, I would have to start up the coal forge. And so I'm probably not going to do that during stream. I will talk to the butler and see if they think that we can handle that outside of stream over, tonight or maybe tomorrow night. And I'll see if I can't record that if I end up doing that. There is also a chance that I just won't, and it'll just be thin in that spot. It depends on how much time we have. Over the next couple of days, it would be the correct thing to do. But like I said, I'm not entirely sure that we have enough time for that right now. So we shall see if I can manage that or not, and I will let you guys know. I do have plenty of material that I cut off of our steel earlier in this process, so we could forge weld this stuff back on there to create that like end. And we actually ended up cutting this off because it used to be the end, and I could not forge weld it on. Or I mean, I could not, or I cut it at a weird angle is what I'm trying to say. Any other van trips going on or just focused on quad state? Right now we are just focused on quad state, and the reason for that is because the summer just kind of got away from us, you know? It's like every year summer starts and then it's gone in an instant. We have like tickets to go to Holiday World, which is a theme park in the Midwest. And the plan was actually to go and camp and then go to Holiday World and hang out there for a while and then camp again and go a second day because we have 4 passes. And we haven't even gotten a chance to do that. So right now we're just looking at quad state, but there might be a trip on the weekend at some point. I don't know. I do know that my parents are coming either this weekend or next weekend. So if we don't go, or if they don't show up, maybe we'll go. I don't know. How much grinding will you do to finish it? Yeah, kids are going back to school already in most people's areas. So my plan is actually to forge this as close to its finish as possible. We have quite a thick wedge going on here, and eventually when I'm happy with those cheeks, we're going to start thinning out the blade section. I don't really want to grind off much material at all if I can hit or if I can manage it. I want to get as close to forge finish as possible because I hate grinding. I know I could grind off a whole bunch of it. It doesn't have to be longer or thinner. I could just grind it all, but I don't want to. So once I'm happy with those cheeks in the next couple of heats, we're going to continue working on the axe blade and just taper that all out. They will stay for another 21 days at home in heaven. I don't know. Is that how long it before the kids go back to school in Belgium, Bluesy? I thought summer vacation was heaven when I was a kid. I definitely thought summer vacation. School starts in the 1st of September here. Yes. All right. That's what I thought I was reading, but you know, out of context, I wasn't 100%. All right, let's do another heat. Belgium is heaven. All right. All right. Oh no, I tipped it over. Not fun. There we go. There we go. See if I can't get this out of here. Okay. You know, it would help. Ah! Goodness gracious. If I was more organized, guys. If I was more organized, this would help me a lot. But I am not organized, like not at all. Goodness gracious. Apologies for not being amazingly organized today. All right, we're gonna do a couple more heats. I think that's a lot closer to the center. But yeah, we're gonna do a couple more heats. And then we'll start working on the blade. At least you are a drop forger. People pay good money to drop forge stuff. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. I do drop forge a lot. I'm not sure how much. Oops. I dropped all of my coal. I'm not sure how much you actually cool down the piece with water, thanks to old evil Lichtenfrost. Maybe. All right, I dropped all my coal, so I'm gonna have to make some more. Let's see. Do I have any? You can put that in there. I'll take that one. There's some of that. There's some of that. Okay. Yeah, I knew that that was going to happen eventually, that I was going to drop my coal lubricant at some point in this whole process. All right. So we've got some new chunks of coal. And now I'm just going to crush them up. This is a piece of steel. We're going to use it as a mortar. Yeah. A mortar and a pestle. Not that I need this right today. I think we're doing all right without it at this point. All right. I'll put that over there. We'll crush it up a little bit more later on. There it is. So yeah, my lubricant is just coal, partially burned coal. I guess it's more like coke coal. Is that the carbon dust? Yes, it is. Like I said, my lubricant is just coked up coal. So what I did was I went over to the coal forge and I picked up the airy, partially burned pieces of coal, and you put it in the thing and you crush it up, and it makes a pretty decent lubricant. Let the beat drop. Yes. Dropping that beat. Somebody's getting Amazon delivery. It ain't me, though. I don't think the butler ordered anything. At least they didn't tell me if they did. All right, so we have an ad starting in about 2.5 minutes. I think we should be able to do another heat before that before the ad starts. So let's try that. I will try and be quick about this. Quick. As my grandmother used to say, quick like a bunny. All right. We're going to do another heat. We're going to flip this over and put the drift in this side, and we should be good. Or I could drop my drift. That works too. Tungsten ordered treats. That's probably what happened. He's very good at communicating, you know. Tungsten would be like, Alexa, order treats. We don't actually have an Alexa, though. All right, so I'm starting to run low a little bit on water, so I think that I'm going to take this time from the Twitch ad and I'm going to get some more water. So I will be right back. Give me a moment. It helps when the lid. Okie doke. All right. Whew. You could actually make a nice video about the Leidenfrost effect from those shots. Yeah, I could. So yeah, what Sandwich is talking about is because the metal is so hot, when I'm adding water to it, the water is just immediately evaporating, and so it is turning to steam the second it touches the side of the hot steel, and so the liquid is just like rolling right off of it without actually cooling off the steel. So you need more water to kind of counteract that, because eventually it will cool down the steel, but it takes a little bit more water and a little bit more time. All right, let's do another heat. Whew. All right, so like I said, this will probably be our last heat before we start working on the blade of this guy. All right, so we're doing all right. We've got a relatively centered hole for this eye. So now we're going to start working on the blade of this axe. So I'm going to switch tongs to, which tongs am I going to switch to? These tongs. Flop that like so. And we're going to, like I said, we're going to start working on the blade. Like so. Like those people who wet their finger and plunge it into a can of molten metal. Exactly. Probably missed that. Why do you want the outside to cool down? I guess the inner part is supposed to deform more than the surface, which is hit immediately with the hammer. The reason that I have been trying to cool the surface is because the areas of the steel that are hottest are going to move the most, right? So if I cool down thin sections, then they will stay in place, and the hot sections, which is the thicker pieces of steel that I want to thin down, will move, right? So instead of moving all over the place, we are specifically targeting the areas of steel that we want to move. Does that make sense? Because hotter steel moves faster and better than cool steel. So if we cool the thin sections, it's kind of like locking them in place. Not really locking them, but kind of making sure that they don't, it's not as easy to move them. I see, thanks. Cool. I'm glad you understand. So at this point, we are going to start focusing in on the blade of the axe. We've got a really thick blade, and I want to thin it out and make it longer. So it's a little bit more looking like that guy right there. It's also going to prevent me from having to grind as much steel. Apologies. My brain kind of fuzzed out there for a second. So we will be continuing to work on this axe on Wednesday. It looks like we have been working for about an hour and 45 minutes-ish. So we've got about 45 minutes left in the stream, so it's going to take me, it'll probably take me another stream just to finish off shaping the blade of this axe, but I think we should be all right. And then Friday, we will switch to our new project, which is going to be some railroad spike projects. So something a little bit faster to do. So we'll probably do, I've said that I want to do a railroad spike sharp. It has been suggested that I do a tomahawk out of one. Not entirely sure that that's what I want to do, but we'll see. There's also a railroad spike knife that I could design that I really like that we might do. And then we'll also probably do maybe like a steak turner or some kind of a hook or something. Maybe a bottle opener. So we'll probably be doing at least 2 railroad spike projects. And they will be at least a full day. The sharp will probably take a couple of streams, but I want to do a couple of shorter projects. Like I said, we're kind of getting ready for quad state, so I've got some heavy work to do there. I've got to send out a bunch more emails. And I've got to kind of make sure that everything's all nice and ready and we're, it's a smooth trip. So we're going to do a couple of shorter projects between now and then after this axe. Once we come back from quad state, I'll kind of reassess. We might do some more complex projects again. All right, so for our next heat, we're going to start using the press again. Because it's going to give us a lot more thinning than I can do by hand. So I'm going to move this camera. Let's see, have I done it? Have I tripped? I have not yet. I have this habit of tripping and ripping the power cable out of my dummy battery by accident with these cameras. If I'm not careful, I gotta be careful. Man, you know what? On Friday, I felt like I was such an imposter and I was having a lot of trouble where I thought that I was not doing the right thing. And so I was very much second guessing myself a lot for Friday's stream. This stream, I feel like I kind of have an idea of what I'm trying to do. And I feel like I'm really on it. So I don't know if it's just still the lingering illness that I had on Friday and I'm just like starting to get my brain back, or, if I just, but I feel like I'm a little bit more on it today. Okay, let's take a look. What do we got for heat? I think it could use a tiny bit more time in the forge before I start working again. So yeah, I think we're gonna hang out for a little bit longer and then we'll keep on keeping on. Let's see. So what else do we have? So it's kind of interesting today because the butler had to take my truck to work today. So I had to buy propane because I always like to have an extra tank of propane, like a new one when I'm doing large propane or large pieces, because I have to keep the forge so much hotter. And so I had to use the van to get my propane. It was kind of nerve-wracking because I've never done it in the van. And I normally put the propane tank in the bed of the truck and like tie it down with a ratchet strap. And it seemed to work all right, but I prefer using the truck. That virus going around is not nice. I had it rather lightly, but it sticks in the throat somewhat, knocked out some colleagues. Now Kiri called off streams as she is down with it. Yes, that's totally what happened. I still have it. You can kind of hear it a little bit in my voice. But yeah, I just got to this point where, like, last week, I could not stream because I was just like, oh, I could barely breathe and I was tired. It knocked me out pretty badly. So I am super excited to be back here with you guys, even with that little bit left of crud left in my throat, you know. Hopefully, you know, it'll go away real quick and I won't have to deal with it for much longer. And hopefully Kiri gets over it real quick too, because it's not fun. Definitely need to rest, drink some water or some liquids, and get over it, you know? All right. Let us do another heat. All right. Guess I don't really need that because I'm going to be using the eye as a grippy section. Alright, and we are going to be flipping this guy every other heat because I want to make sure that we get even squishing. Our axe is a little bit on the wide side, so it doesn't fit all the way into the press, so we're going to be flipping it every other heat to maintain an even profile. I use my van for propane transport off the all the time. It's all I have. Come to find out that I'm not supposed to transport a 100-pound tank in an enclosed vehicle. So now I'm looking to trade for a pair of 40s or a 40 and a 30. Yeah, you're not supposed to transport propane inside of a cab if you can at all help it. And because it's specifically like the taller ones, because they don't want you laying them on their side, right? Because if the valve isn't like completely solid, you're gonna get liquid propane coming out of there, and it's not good. So they really try to encourage you to transport propane in trucks, in the bed. Does your van have a hitch? Could get a carrier plate. I don't know if it has a hitch. I don't think it does right now. It has, or I guess I think it has a hitch. I just don't think it has a ball on it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm here. Hope you saved the most exciting stuff. Hey Knots, welcome to the stream. So we are currently starting to shape the blade of this axe. So, I mean, that's kind of exciting, right? You're going to get to see a lot of steel movement. And yeah, so maybe I've saved the best for last. It should be a fun rest of this stream and then a fun stream on Wednesday. Like I said, it will probably take me a little bit, at least a little bit, until Wednesday to finish this guy up. I just want to make sure that we're as close to forge finish as possible so I have less to grind in then. 100-pound tanks stand vertically in mine. That's good. My van is not tall enough for a 100-pound tank to stand up tall in. But yeah, you're also not supposed to transport them indoors because, you know, there's just, if the tank isn't completely closed, you know. So back in the day, when I first started blacksmithing, there used to be some people who would swear by these like manifolds, and I think that Mahalo has mentioned them before, but they're like dual tank manifolds so that you could actually connect 2 tanks into your burner system. And I was never able to like get a hold of one. It's something I should definitely look into again so that I can maybe hook up 2 propane tanks to my burner, and I think maybe I'd be able to get a little bit hotter, maybe, I don't know. At least it would definitely support a 2 burner system. That's another thing that I need to look into, is putting in a second burner in my forge. Atlas Knife and Tool sells them. See, Atlas didn't sell quite as many tools back in the day. Back in my day, shakes Kane. But yeah, I mean, I started blacksmithing in 2010, right? So there was no coal iron, and Atlas was a lot smaller, and most of the places that you were able to buy blacksmithing equipment was at conferences and from actual blacksmiths. It was a lot of like trading equipment around. So it is so amazing that these days that you can actually buy equipment online, you know, and have it sent directly to you. So, you know, back in my day, we had to flip the forge over both ways. It won't get hotter, just let you burn for longer before the tanks freeze up. Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably right. Okay, let's do another heat. A forced air ribbon burner does wonders for getting high temp. Can even forge weld on gas. Yeah, those things are awesome. I have yet to get a hold of one though. One of these days. One of these days. Maybe my next forge. Much more strength. Working pretty well. So we're going to flip this around again. Actually, you know what? Do I want to? I think I do. So I think the next heat we're going to go this direction. So we can kind of shape the wedge and make sure that it doesn't go out of control. Ouch. I got new subs. It does not say who subbed, but thank you so much for the sub. For those of you, or for my new sub. Oh, it was Ping. Thank you so much, Ping, for re-upping your sub. Thank you so much for your continued support. 17 months. Goodness gracious. I mean, that is amazing. We're getting real close to, like, you know, a year and a half together. That is so crazy. And I mean, we already are at a year and a half together. But, you know, since a year and a half since I became an affiliate and could get subs. So thank you guys so much for your continued support. It is amazing. I would not be here without you guys, you know? I would probably just be in the house playing video games. So thank you so much for your continued support. What was that? I got a notification. Oh, we've got a hype train incoming. That is a lot of fun. Thank you so much for that hype train. So, right now we also have creator drops going the entire month of August. So if you subscribe or if you gift a sub, there is a Smithy icon for you guys to put next to your name. If you watch for 6 hours within the next month until the end of this month, you will receive another Smithy badge. So thank you guys so much for your continued support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for following. You guys are why I'm here. Thank you so much for your support. That is incredible. Thank you guys so much. All right, let's see. Seem to be doing pretty good on keeping up with heat. So we should be able to do another round here shortly. I think I'm going to take a look at my camera, see if I need to change the angle. We're at 15 minutes. I'll do that. Let's go up higher. Higher, higher. Just getting another angle. Alrighty. We have 30 more minutes left in the stream. We can make some good time with that. So let's do another round, another heat. Like I said, we're kind of going to open this up a little bit so we can kind of make sure that it doesn't go too wide, too unruly. Don't need to do too much here. Just enough. Alright, that should be good. And you can see that we have thinned that out quite a bit. It was starting to get really wide and wedge-like, and I just wasn't going to be a good, pleasant thing. So we're definitely on the right track here. more heat. All right. We got an ad starting in about 2.5 minutes. I think we're doing all right. It's going to be our last ad before the end of the stream. So yeah, that last heat was squishing in the width so it doesn't continue to splay out. I want to maintain a relatively nice, long and thin axe blade so that it'll work pretty well for what I want it to do. We'll let it splay towards the end a little bit, but I want that, I want it to thin or be thin first and then kind of flute out. Whew. Big flakes of scale. Haven't seen that in a while. Yeah. Definitely big old flakes of scale. But yeah, when we start squishing like major chunks of steel like that, you do get quite a bit of large flakes of scale. We had quite a bit of oxidation from that first heat. Whew. I'm gonna stand right here for a little bit. Like I said, it's getting super, super warm. So, you know, all of that sweat, you know, I got the fan blowing right directly at me. And we will be doing our next heat once that ad is over. Yeah. There is some kind of 4-scale joke, but I can't find it. Something like that. We try to keep things relatively, you know, PG around here, but I think we're all right. All right. That one was a good one. Whew. Soon. I'm probably gonna take a break here in a little bit. We will pick this up on Wednesday. I got a few more heats in me, but I'm starting to get super warm. I'm gonna have to rest for a little bit. Alright, that's doing pretty good. Alright. Ad break is almost over. Okie doke. We back. All right, so we're gonna flip this over and work on that side next. More squishing. More squishing, more squishing. Squish that steel. See, this is the fun part, right? Where you really get to see that steel start moving really quickly. So thinning out the blade, that's exactly what I want to see. That's where I want to be. I wanted to be there like last week, though. The week before, maybe? But yeah, I think we're doing pretty good. We will be doing a little bit more tapering out the blade, and then we'll be doing a lot of hand hammering on Wednesday, kind of trying to clean up all of the lines and make sure that everything is nice and pretty and ready to go. Ready to be handled. So before stream on Wednesday, I'll probably clip the edge of the blade, trying to kind of get rid of any little bit of fish lipping that we still have going on from the initial wedge shaping that we had. And I'll probably see if I can't get the butler to help me a little bit with the coal forge. Maybe I shouldn't say that, because the likelihood of me actually being able to deliver is relatively low. The butler's been really, really busy over the last like 2 weeks, and they've just been run ragged, and they're still sick. So maybe I shouldn't say that we're gonna forge weld on the back cap, because I don't think it's gonna actually happen. So I apologize. It's probably not gonna happen. It's a very ambitious thought, but I don't know that it's going to happen. Okay. All right. Let's do another heat. I'm going to spend a little bit of time on the face of the anvil. We've got a little bit of like a weird like curve in there. And I think I want to take care of that before the end of the stream. So I think that's probably our next heat. Probably do maybe a couple more heats on that, and then we'll probably end. All right. Alrighty, alrighty. So we're gonna need this guy, and I think we're actually gonna want to use the drift to make sure that we don't accidentally crush our hole. And we'll probably use these tongs as well. Okay. I think we're gonna do 2 more heats. Both of them on the anvil. I think that's about what I want to do. Yes, that is what I want to do. So I'll have to start thinking about who we want to raid off to and, you know, cleaning up and cooling off. All right. A little bit more time, I think. All right. So, I think we're doing pretty good. This is I think I'm a lot more successful this time, at least so far. So far. We will need to finish drifting out the eye. Right now, it's a little bit on the thin side or the small side because we're still using the first drift. We'll have to start working with this one. We'll do that on Wednesday a little bit. Open that up just a hair more. But yeah, I think it's going to be possible, guys. I think it's possible to get it a little bit better than the last one we made. Okay. Let's do this. That side that we want. That over there. All right. As I drop it, guys, as I drop it. All right, once more. Into the forge. I'm super winded. This will probably have to be, even if I didn't want it to be my last heat, it'll probably have to be. Whew. What's more into the breach or forge? Exactly. I think that's where I was going with that, you know? Oh, goodness. So yeah, I am pretty happy with what we've got so far. We still have to open up the eye a little bit further, and we will be using more water to kind of cool down the back to make sure that we don't crack it open, and that we continue to open it or to push that eye forward and into the blade to separate those pieces. We will be doing quite a bit more thinning out closer toward that end, and definitely making sure that everything is nice and flat along the sides and everything looks really nice. I think we're gonna get an axe out of this. Excellent. Exactly. Excellent. All right, guys. I think we're doing all right. All right, let's do one more heat. Last heat. One more heat, guys. One more heat. Maybe I won't drop things today. Maybe I won't. I doubt it. I will probably drop things because you know what? It's my last heat. Why not, right? See, we dropped a thing. All right. We got that end much closer to flat. We do have a little bit of fish lipping in there. I'll probably see if I can't take that out of there. But overall, I think we're doing all right. You know, it kind of is shaped like an axe, right? It's kind of shaped like an axe. All right. I think that is all she wrote for the day. I'm actually also relatively happy. Let me show you this too. So today when we started, this side of the cheeks was super, super thicker than this side. And if you take a look at both sides, we still have thickness on that side, but it is a lot closer than it was when we first started it this morning or this afternoon. So, you know, it's almost like I know, I have an idea, maybe what I'm doing. Maybe. All we can say is she's forging ahead. Nice job, Ray. Working in hot weather is exhausting, right? If you make an axe together with another person, is that your axe partner? Yes. Maybe. Probably not, you know. I try not to make my axe partner my ex-partner. All right, guys. Thank you so, so much for joining me today. We are going to raid off. Who do we got? Because it could be exhausting. Yes, it could definitely be exhausting. Okay. Who do we got? Who do we got? We got Miramac. Let's do Miramac. Yeah. Thanks for the stream. Hope you have a great evening and cool down. Yeah, I hope so too. Thank you guys so much for joining me for this stream. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I think we're gonna do. All right, I can smell. Today at least.